Tell me what your role is in there.
Well, basically, I'm the superintendent of the Brixham fishermen's mission. My background is in fishing. I was 11 years as a fisherman. I did 5 years as a part-time mission advisor for the Church of Scotland. So in my role as a sort of pastor to the fishing fleet, I've got it from both sides. I know the industry and I know the pastoral side. A lot of our work is welfare, making sure that fishermen, especially in the present financial climate, are not falling on hard times, and try and assist them as much as we can, get alongside them and support them in whatever way we can. Well, as far as the organisation has been in existence since 1881, and in those days it was sailing ships going to sea with the fleet, earning beside them, fishing with them, selling their catches so that they could finance their work with the fishermen. Part of that was pastoral, and part of it was a medical necessity, so they would have nursing staff, doctor on board the ship, so that if necessary, if there was any injuries to fishermen, they could actually deal with it at sea. They didn't have to return to port. So that was well used. Since then, of course, the whole industry has changed, with mechanisation coming in, steam originally, now of course diesel. So there's less necessity to be at sea with the fleet. So they set up centres on the shore in the major ports. Now we are in a situation where the fleet has contracted so much, there's less need for massive centres, and we're looking at closing down our centres and running welfare offices more, and being out amongst the fishermen more in the ports, the small ports along the coast, being far more mobile and more proactive in the community. Which is a benefit really, because it's more connection with the industry, more connection with the people.
You were mentioning about superstitions and stuff. Can you elaborate on some of that for me?
Yeah, well, while I was at sea, you never referred to a rabbit. You couldn't call it a rabbit. There's a superstition about that, so if you were discussing things and that name had to come up, you refer to it as an underground racehorse, you know, and you never talk about the iron you put in your bilges to give a boat weight as pig iron, as it is. You refer to it as iron. You know,
I've heard that one before.
And all these sort of things. And you don't mention cats. That's another thing.
Okay.
You know, I remember my father telling me that when they were young boys, and the old men were going to sea, and in those days they were wearing leather sea boots, and they would clank as they were going along the road because of these heavy boots, and they used to hide behind the walls and shout out to cats in your knapsack sort of thing, and the old men wouldn't go to sea. They would turn and go back to the house because someone had mentioned it. They would not go to sea, and that's how superstition really strong it was.
Sure.
Just wouldn't go to sea.
So, looking on the sort of the whole picture, obviously conservation is a real big issue nowadays, and that links in with, I guess, the philosophy and a state of mind. Have you seen that change happening over your lifetime?
I think it has, yeah. There is a groundswell that things have to be sustainable, and that's all to the good. And fishermen themselves are behind all of that. Our fleet in Brixham have been pioneering some new technology actually in the gear to allow that to happen more, and monitoring it all and recording it all scientifically, so that you can actually see the benefits. You know, they've been very proactive in all of that.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is the mission is a religious-based organisation.
It's very much so.
Is that correct? And also, the fishing communities do have a belief system. I mean, how do you see that?
Well, as an organisation, although this is a Christian organisation, we are there for everybody. It doesn't matter whether they have a faith or no faith, or a different faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't matter. We treat the individual as an individual and look to their needs. But we do it from a Christian viewpoint. That's why we're there. That's why we're doing it. That's what drives us. But yeah, some communities are much stronger in their religious backgrounds than other communities. There are certain communities, like my own parents' background, in that it's a small island community that they were from, and everyone in that community were churchgoers. They would never put to sea on a Sunday. Now, as things have changed in the industry, that's all had to change because of the pressures. You have boats at sea now constantly. They'll maybe change a crew so that the crew does get a break, but the boat doesn't stop. The boat is fishing all the time.
And that's financially driven.
Financially driven. So pressures on the men that they've got to make these things pay.
John, that's fantastic. That's a nice insight into your world. I really appreciate your time. Should we go and grab some photographs, and
if we can,
we can let you on your way?